Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we have something a little different, a bit more focused. We're doing a deep dive on a single character prologue.
Yeah, a session point 5, as we call it.
Exactly. And the whole point here is to really get into the weeds, to
Mhm.
analyze the foundation, the trauma, and all the complex motivations that are going to launch this hero into the main story.
And the subject is, well, it's one of the most interesting character concepts I've seen in a long time. We are talking about Turin Redfoot.
Turin Redfoot, the gnome barbarian.
The gnome barbarian. Just say it out loud. It feels wrong, but in the best way.
It's so magnetic, isn't it? The juxtaposition is immediate. You hear gnome, and you think intellect, tinkering, small, clever solutions.
Years, blueprints, meticulous planning.
Right. And then you hear barbarian, and you think rage, instinct, primal strength. Solving a problem by hitting it with a giant axe.
While shouting loudly.
While shouting, yes. And it just forces you, and it must force the character himself to ask, how do those two things even coexist in one person?
It's a fundamental conflict.
Yeah.
Gnomish culture is all about collaboration, intellect, tradition. The barbarian path is so often about isolation, instinct, and just raw power.
And Turin is trying to be both. He's living on that fault line. And that tension, that's our mission today. We want to trace the steps that led him here, what forced him out of his expected life, what specific terrible event happened.
And how does he channel that pain, that self-inflicted pain, into a quest for redemption?
It's all about how he was forged. Not just what his stats are, but the emotional math behind every choice he's going to make.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start at the beginning. If the goal is this massive synthesis of two worlds, we have to look at the world that created him. How does a gnome from a village of tinkerers get this wild spirit? And what tragedy made it a necessity?
Well, the setting tells you a lot. It's Fizzlewick.
Fizzlewick?
And you can just picture it, right? It's the classic gnomish village. Quiet, orderly, probably smells a little like ozone and machine oil.
Right, everyone has their role, their workshop, their project.
And in this world, we meet Turin and his father, Broman.
And Broman he's the ideal. He's the path Turin was supposed to walk.
He is. The sources describe him as a master tinkerer. He fits perfectly into that mold of gnomish excellence. He's the standard.
Which just makes Turin's internal struggle so much more pointed from the very beginning.
Oh, absolutely. He was raised in this heritage. The expectation was clear. You'll inherit the workshop. You'll study the blueprints. You'll contribute to the village's clockwork defenses.
But inside, there was something else. The sources call it a burning need for glory and adventure.
A wild spirit, something that felt totally constrained by the quiet, predictable life in Fizzlewick.
It's that classic conflict between legacy and destiny, isn't it?
Yeah.
His legacy was to fix things, to maintain, but he felt his destiny was to break things, or maybe break through things.
But here's the really important distinction, and I think this is what makes him more than just a simple rebel.
Okay.
He wasn't rejecting his gnomish heritage at first.
Right, he wasn't saying, tinkering is dumb, I'm gonna go punch trees.
Exactly not. He was trying to do something much more ambitious. He was trying to synthesize the two. He wanted to prove the brute strength, his barbarian nature, could actually be a vital part of the gnomish community.
He wanted to be the strong arm of their ingenuity.
Yes. He saw a gap in their defenses. They had all these clever traps and automated sentries, but what happens when something gets past all that? He wanted to be the one who could hold the line. A clever gnome who could also hit really, really hard.
That's a noble goal. It's an innovator's goal, in a way. He's trying to innovate on the very concept of being a gnome.
It's a deeply well-intentioned ambition. And that's what makes the tragedy so crushing.
Let's get to that. This is the core event.
The sources are clear. His desire to prove his strength was useful, to bridge that gap, led directly to a catastrophic failure.
The explosion.
The explosion in Brahman's workshop. In a single moment, that place of creation, that heart of the family legacy is just gone, turned into what the source calls a tomb of broken dreams.
And we have to get really specific on the cause, because this is the psychological anchor for his whole character. It wasn't goblins. It wasn't some random accident.
Yeah, it was Turin.
It was his own creation, a device that he designed and built himself.
Yes, and the irony is just brutal. It was the device, and the sources say this specifically, meant to safeguard his village.
Wow.
The very thing he built to bring security is what brought total destruction. It killed his father, Broman. And it was a failure born not of malice, but of that well-intentioned ambition.
I want to just sit with that for a second. Well-intentioned ambition leading to a fatal disaster. That's so much more complicated than simple regret.
Huh?
This changes everything about the guilt he carries, doesn't it?
It's the entire cornerstone of his identity. Think about it. If his father had been killed by orcs, or even just tripped and fallen, Turin's path would be simple.
Revenge. A classic revenge arc.
Yeah.
Simple, external.
Exactly. Find the bad guys, hit them. But here, there's no one to blame. The enemy is internal. The weight of this failure is all his.
He has to carry it all. The sources describe his heart just aching with guilt, his spirit crushed. And it wasn't just losing his dad. It was the devastating proof that he was right to be worried, that his wild spirit was, in fact, dangerous.
It confirmed the worst fears of the traditionalists in the village, and more importantly, his own worst fears about himself.
The very thing he was trying to prove was a virtue. This gnome barbarian idea now felt like a curse, a corrosive, destructive force. He had the wreckage of his father's workshop as proof.
Which brings us to this idea of the narrative power of guilt. Let's dig into that. Why is this specific kind of self-inflicted guilt such a powerful engine for an adventurer?
Especially one on a redemption quest.
Well, it separates him from a standard hero. His motivation isn't anger, it's responsibility. It's this deep, deep need to prove the premise he failed on.
That strength and ingenuity can coexist safely.
Right. He can't undo the explosion. He can only try to redefine his legacy, which means redefining his own.
But here's a question then. Isn't there a risk that his whole quest is just reactive? If he's only chasing strength to make up for an intellectual failure, isn't he still a prisoner of the past? Wouldn't true redemption be trying to build a better device?
That's a really sharp point, and it gets at the complexity of his choice. I think he recognizes that just building a better machine won't heal the wound.
Because it wasn't just a technical failure.
It was a social and emotional one. The community now sees him as a danger. His own mind sees him as a danger. To redeem himself, not just to them, but to himself, he needs a complete paradigm shift.
So embracing the barbarian path isn't abandoning invention.
No.
It's changing the application of his mind. He's shifting from trying to control external things with gears and levers to trying to control his internal chaos with discipline and rage.
Exactly. His redemption is about internal mastery, not external engineering. He has to prove that his rage, when guided by his gnomish wit, can be a reliable, controlled force for good. He's basically fighting the shame that's screaming at him, "You are broken and dangerous."
And his whole journey is to earn back the right to just be himself.
It's an internal war. His ambition is both the thing that caused the wound and the tool he has to use to fix it. He has to embrace the identity that killed his father to prove that identity is worthy of his father's memory.
That is a brutal, compelling hook for a character.
Yeah, and a wound that deep, that profound, it needs an external catalyst to get him moving. He was stuck, paralyzed by guilt.
Drowning in it.
He needed someone to offer him a path forward that wasn't just staring at the rubble of the workshop.
And that's where Gundren Rockseeker comes in.
Gundren Rockseeker, the traveling dwarf merchant. He's not just a plot device here, he's a psychological lifeline.
He shows up at the absolute lowest point for Turin. The disaster's fresh, the villagers are probably giving him the cold shoulder.
And Turin is just stewing in self-hatred. And Gundren provides the pivot. And it's not magic, it's not some grand prophecy, it's just a simple act of recognition.
Let's focus on that conversation because it's so critical.
Yeah.
Gundren sees this young gnome, and he doesn't see the kid who blew up the workshop.
No, he sees potential. And he gives him that one specific piece of encouragement. The quote is so important.
If you ever reach a point where you're ready to set out on your own path, I could always use some muscle.
The wording there is perfect. It's not a command, it's an open door.
If you ever reach a point, the choice is all Turin's.
It's validation. He's validating the one thing Turin feels is a monstrous liability. His physical strength. His muscle.
Hold on, I want to drill down on that. That one line basically rewires Turin's whole self-perception. Here's this outsider, this respected dwarf, an adventurer, and he's saying that the barbarian part of you, the part you're so ashamed of, it has actual value out there in the world.
It's huge. And that alone would be powerful. But then Gundren delivers the masterstroke. He completely recontextualizes Turin's entire family history.
This is the big reveal.
Gundren knew Broman. But he didn't just know Broman the Tinkerer.
He reveals Broman's secret life. He tells Turin stories of his father's adventures.
Can you imagine hearing that? Your whole life, you thought your father was one thing, the master tinkerer who died at his workbench. And suddenly you find out he had this whole other side.
It's a seismic shift. It suggests that Turin's wild spirit, the thing he thought was a rebellion against his father,
Was actually an inheritance from him.
so this thing he saw as like a genetic flaw that ruined his life is suddenly reframed. It has roots. It's part of his legacy.
Exactly. It lifts so much of that weight. His father wasn't just the inventor consumed by his work. He was a complex person who knew there was a world beyond the workshop.
Gundren basically gave Turin permission to be strong. And he did it not by telling him to forget his father, but by showing him his father's legacy was so much bigger and more complex than he ever knew.
He saw past the failure and saw the unique potential in the hybrid, in the gnome barbarian.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Gundren's simple encouragement transforms that paralyzing guilt into focused, actionable resolve. It's not about trying to fix the unfixable anymore. He decides to honor his father's full memory, the tinkerer and the adventurer.
The reckless ambition is gone. That drive to prove himself as a single grand gesture, that's what caused the explosion. Now it's replaced by a disciplined quest.
A quest for self-discovery.
The guilt is still there, but now it's focused, it's weaponized. It becomes the discipline that will keep his rage from ever getting that uncontrolled and destructive again.
So he's leaving to test himself, to test his strength and his wits out in the wilds, to prove, maybe just to the ghost of his father in his head, that he's worthy of both sides of that legacy.
And that takes us to the next critical chapter, the trials of the wilds. He leaves Fizzlewick, not just to wander aimlessly, but to actively forge this new identity.
This is identity creation under pressure.
It's the crucible. If the explosion shattered him, the wilds are the forge where he's hammered back together to something new and stronger.
He's forcing the synthesis of his two natures, not in theory anymore, but through the real practical needs of survival.
Day in, day out.
Let's talk about that synthesis in action. The sources say his barbarian spirit was awakened by physical challenges. And this isn't just about, getting bigger muscles, it's about learning when and how to use that primal power.
And this is where his gnomish side becomes so important. This is what makes him different from, say, a half-orc barbarian. When a challenge appears, the standard barbarian instinct is just rage and smash.
Frontal assault.
But Turin's gnomish mind acts as a filter. It's a strategic layer on top of the rage.
Can you give us an example of how that would work? How does his wit stop him from just being a brute?
Okay, so imagine he comes across a narrow ravine with a huge territorial beast guarding the only way through. A standard barbarian might just charge in, axe swinging.
A high-risk, low-percentage play.
Very. But Turin, he'd back off. He'd use his intellect. He'd spend hours observing. He'd notice the patterns of the beast's patrols, the loose rocks on the cliff face above, the way the wind whistles through the canyon.
He's analyzing the battlefield like an engineer analyzing a schematic.
Precisely. So instead of a frontal assault, he might use his knowledge of physics and mechanics to build a simple but effective deadfall trap. A bit of rope, a few carefully balanced rocks, pure gnomish ingenuity.
A clever low-energy solution.
And then, once his trap is sprung, once the beast is stunned or pinned or distracted, that's when the barbarian spirit awakens.
Ah, so the rage is the finisher, not the opener.
The rage is the clean, efficient, final blow. The ingenuity creates the opportunity, the strength executes the plan, it's calculated chaos.
He's using his brain to conserve his rage, making sure that when it's unleashed, it's decisive and targeted. Not like the uncontrolled explosion that killed his father.
That's a powerful connection. His whole time in the wilds is about that. Deciphering puzzles and old ruins, improvising tools to navigate, using his strength to move a massive stone to block a cave entrance after he's already mapped it out. The mind always guides the muscle.
And this all leads to a climax, an internal one, inside a forgotten ruin. This is where he has to face the physical manifestation of his fear.
His guilt.
Right. He confronts a spectral vision of his father's disappointed gaze.
And this isn't a monster he can just hit with his axe. This is his self-doubt made real. It's the personification of every fear and regret that's been haunting him.
I can almost hear what the vision is saying or not saying, just that silent judgment. Was this the answer? Did you throw away everything I taught you for this brute force?
It's forcing him to justify his new identity to his greatest critic, himself.
So how does he beat it?
He doesn't. Not with force. He stands his ground, he accepts the gaze, and he articulates his new philosophy. He demonstrates, maybe just by his own conviction, that the strength he has now is disciplined. It's guided. It's aimed at protecting people, not accidental destruction.
He proves he has mastery over the wildness.
And in doing that, the vision fades. He overcomes the guilt, not by destroying it, but by accepting it and moving past it. He emerges from that ruin tempered, stronger. The internal conflict is, well, it's not gone, but it's moving towards a resolution.
But now he needs something external, something tangible to guide him.
Which, of course, he finds right then and there. After his internal victory, he finds a hidden inscription in the ruin. This is the first real clue to his father's secret legacy.
Okay, let's speculate a bit here. Based on everything we know, what could that inscription be? It can't just be a map to some treasure.
No, it has to be more personal, more significant. Maybe it's a fragment of a schematic for a device even more powerful than the one that exploded, something Broman had to hide.
Or maybe it's not technical at all. What if it's a coded message? A reference to some secret society his father was a part of. A league of adventurer tinkerers.
I like that. Or maybe it's something even older, a piece of an ancient gnomish prophecy that talks about a guardian who combines wit and might, a gnome barbarian who is destined to protect their people.
Which would be the ultimate validation. It would mean his path isn't just a personal quest for atonement, it's a historical destiny he was born into.
It connects his father's secret past directly to his own future purpose. It gives him a mandate.
And that inscription, whatever it is what empowers him to fully embrace his new goal. He's not just going to be an adventurer. He decides he will be the greatest gnome barbarian in history.
That phrase is a mission statement. It's a manifesto. And it's aimed squarely at the traditional gnomish culture that probably rejected him.
It says, your way is not the only way. But he keeps gnome in the title. He's not abandoning his people.
No, he's trying to redefine what it means to be one of them. To be a gnome can mean being brilliant and being fiercely strong. He wants to be excellent within his culture, not an exile from it.
Which leads him, logically and inevitably, to his final destination for this prologue.
Gnomengard.
It has to be Gnomengard. It's the most confrontational, most logical next step he could possibly take.
It's the capital. It's the cultural and political heart of gnomish tradition. The epicenter of meticulous order and invention.
He's going to prove that his fusion of strength and ingenuity is a valid path. He can't do it hiding in the wilds. He has to take his new self to the one place it will be tested most severely.
The test of cultural acceptance.
He can't unite a community from the outside looking in. He has to go there and show them that a gnome barbarian can lead, protect, and contribute, not just break things.
He's walking into the lion's den, so to speak.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Clockwork Dragon's den.
He's walking right back to the system that created him and that he failed in, but this time on his own terms.
And the sources are clear that his mindset as he sets out for Gnomengard is completely transformed from the despair he felt when he first left home.
It's a conscious, deliberate choice. He leaves behind the bad memories, the guilt, the image of the charred workshop.
He doesn't go empty-handed. He takes the good memories with him. His father's love, the pride he felt in his unique spirit, and Gundren's words, the belief that a gnome barbarian could have a place in the world.
And that seals the theme of the whole prologue, really. His journey is now this path of adventure and self-discovery, all aimed at reaching a point where invention and strength can dance together in perfect harmony.
A harmony he has bled and fought to achieve within himself.
So he's not walking into the main story as a broken orphan defined by tragedy. He's a fully formed hero in training, ready to prove his worth.
He's a champion for a new way of thinking.
So what does this all mean? It means Turin is walking into Gnomengard, the heart of tradition, not as a failure, but as a living, breathing synthesis of two worlds. He's carrying a burden of guilt that he's hammered into a weapon and a mission.
The key takeaways from his arc are just so well structured. First, you have the tragic start caused by his best intentions failing in the worst way.
Second, you have the mentor, Gundren, who provides the crucial external validation that allows him to reframe his entire past and his own self-worth.
And third, the intense solo trial by fire in the wilds, where he forges that unique identity. He takes that walking contradiction and finds a balance point.
He's a character defined by that journey from the moment of the explosion to the moment he finds his purpose. Okay, now let's speculate, but strictly based on this session, point 5. No spoilers for what might happen in session 1. What are the immediate questions he's gonna face when he walks through the gates of Gnomengard?
Well, the first challenge has to be his own self-proclaimed title. He's calling himself the greatest gnome barbarian in history. That's a bold claim.
It's a challenge.
It is. So what resistance will he face? A community built on intellect might just see his rage as primitive, as proof that he hasn't learned his lesson from the Fizzlewick disaster.
He's gonna face so much skepticism. He's still the kid who killed his dad by accident. That's a hard reputation to shake. He'll have to prove, probably immediately, that his strength isn't chaos anymore, it's protection.
Which leads to the second big question,
Hmm.
that inscription. What secrets is it hiding about Brahman's legacy, and how quickly is that going to force his hand in Nomengard?
Right, if it's a schematic, he might need rare parts only found in the capital. But trying to get them quietly without alerting people who might want those secrets for themselves, that's a whole new challenge.
I wonder if Broman was part of some secret faction, a group within Nomengard that knew about a threat the ruling council was ignoring.
And maybe that device that exploded wasn't for the village at all. Maybe it was a weapon for that secret war, and the test went wrong.
If that's true, then Turin's arrival isn't just about personal redemption. He's stepping into a clandestine conflict that's been simmering for decades.
He's bringing the thunder, but he's also bringing the baggage of his father's secret war with him.
And finally, the biggest hurdle of all, I think, the cultural one. Will the gnomish community ever truly accept his barbarian nature? Nomengard is the symbol of order. Turin is a symbol of controlled chaos.
Can they tell the difference? That's the question.
It would be a fantastic irony if, after fighting beasts in the wild and wrestling with his own inner demons, his biggest fight is just convincing other gnomes that he's still one of them.
He has to prove a gnome barbarian can be a leader, not just a liability. That his rage is a tool for justice, not just an emotional outburst.
He's bringing this harmony he's found into a place that might see it as just noise.
His success or failure will depend entirely on whether Nomengard is willing to evolve.
That is an incredible setup. He has the strength to fight monsters, but he's going to need the wit to navigate politics.
A heavy burden for a small hero.
Indeed.
So, for you to think about as you consider Turin's journey, when you are burdened by guilt, especially a guilt that comes from your best intentions going horribly wrong, how much of the new path you forge is truly your own, and how much is still being dictated by the shadow of your past? Turin is trying to create a new identity, but the very fuel for his journey is the memory of that failure. He's determined to prove it was an anomaly, not the rule. That's a long shadow, and he's still got a long way to go before he's truly out from under it.
The quest for perfect harmony is really a lifelong quest for atonement.
And with that deep dive into the meticulously crafted origins of Turin Redfoot, the gnome barbarian, we conclude. Thanks for joining us.